Hello, I'm Lara Kulcharsan and this is Newsfeed, your dose of what people are talking about online. President Joe Biden says the US is making real progress in efforts to end the war in Gaza. And peace can't come soon enough. A new report by the medical journal, the Lancet, says the number of Palestinians killed could be almost double the unofficial figures. On Thursday, the Gaza Health Ministry said the death toll had surpassed 46,000. The Lancet says the number is closer to 64,000. That's 41% more dead than official figures.
The healthcare system of Gaza is just one part of the systematic ethnic cleansing and genocide of the Palestinians of Gaza. It must be halted now, and the United States has the power to halt it with one phone call from either President Biden or future President Trump to halt all military aid to Israel. And so the responsibility is on the United States in particular.
I'm very concerned that as an American, that America is supplying arms for a war that is unjustified. The war in Gaza needs to end, and we need to stop the killing of children and the elderly and the destruction of schools and hospitals and places of worship. We need to negotiate with the Palestinians, and I don't see any other solution, and I haven't seen a solution for decades now apart from a two-state solution.
Gaza is cut off to international media, so the only way to get news is through Palestinians conveying the horrors of war through social media. But many news outlets have been called out for being pro-Israeli. Now, Germany's international broadcaster Deutsche Welle, or DW, has joined those ranks. Journalists claim that newsroom bosses are creating a climate of fear and are dehumanizing Palestinians. Martin Gack, an Argentinian Jewish journalist who worked at DW for 10 years, supports such allegations.
Absolutely clear that criticism of Israel, criticism of Israeli policy, is akin to anti-Semitism. You have colleagues that either are in Gaza or have friends in Gaza, and what the editorial team is telling you is that what you know, you cannot say. Deutsche Welle made it extremely clear that we were not allowed to talk about it, not even in our private space, not even in our own social media. There was also now a set of emails in which they made it absolutely clear the central management was willing to actually fire people or relieve them of their functions if they made mistakes concerning Israel and Palestine. I got a letter from Deutsche Welle. I was already fired at that point. They told me that my social media content had come under observation and that they urged me to immediately stop, or that they would take all steps possible. Germany is still no country for Jews. You are the Jew that the German state and its institutions want you to be, or you are de facto an anti-Semite.
Ending Israel's war in Gaza and addressing the crisis in the Middle East will probably be President-elect Donald Trump's biggest challenge. A known supporter of Israel, Trump's solution is expected to be controversial. With just days until his return to the Oval Office, Trump is already ruffling feathers regionally and globally.
We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate.
Sure. Why not? Especially because while that was like the most viral online, that was like the least jarring thing for a number of people. And arguably the thing that should be getting more attention is Trump saying that he will not rule out military force in the Panama Canal and Greenland. The idea that a Trump-led United States would take over those places, those are not new to Trump. And when asked about it today, we saw this.
Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No, I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two.
With President-elect Trump then saying that he'd hit Denmark with high tariffs if it interfered with efforts to get Greenland to join the U.S. Also, while we're on this topic, we should also talk about Canada, which Trump has his eyes on.
Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire?
No, economic force, because Canada and the United States That would really be something.
The comments might sound absurd, but it aligns with Trump's America First policy and is part of his national security strategy and efforts to counter China's rise. Controlling Greenland would give him both a defensive and economic edge, especially as melting Arctic sea ice opens new shipping routes. The Panama Canal is a shortcut between the Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea, and beyond that, the Atlantic Ocean. There's also plans to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Trump says his plans have a beautiful ring to it. Countries concerned disagree.
It's a question of whether should we maybe collaborate a bit more with the US. We shouldn't be bought by anyone because Greenland is not for sale and Greenland will not be for sale.
Obviamente, Golfo de México es reconocido el nombre por Naciones Unidas, un organismo de Naciones Unidas, pero el siguiente, ¿por qué no le llamamos América Mexicana? Se oye bonito, ¿no?
Hey, Donald, have we got a deal for you? You think we want to be the 51st state? Nah, but maybe California would like to be the 11th province. How about it?
Los Angeles has been battling wildfires for days with devastating consequences. Tens of thousands have been forced to flee their homes. Many lives have been lost. As expected, firefighters are risking their lives on the front line, and nearly 30% of them are prisoners. This isn't a new practice. California's Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation operates more than 30 fire camps where inmates are trained to extinguish blazes. But while the system has been in place for years, it's facing fresh criticism.
About a third of the firefighters are inmates getting paid less than $7 an hour. Just a few months earlier, LA Mayor Karen Bass cut $17.6 million from the fire department, originally proposed to be $23 million. Instead of adding more to the fire department, Mayor Karen Bass added an extra $138 million to the police department.
These prison firefighters are 4 times more likely to be injured on the job than traditionally trained firefighters. They're literally putting their bodies and their lives on the line for us.
In 2018, 1,000 incarcerated firefighters had to seek medical attention because of their illnesses from fighting fires.
But once they exit prison, they find it very difficult to find job opportunities. They're in prison, they're used for their bodies, and then when they're let out, it's like, good luck. And most Californians honestly don't know that inmates are fighting their wildfires.
Fears are mounting in Kenya following a spate of abductions of influencers who have been critical of the government. Over the past 6 months, several influencers who posted AI-generated images of Kenyan President William Ruto in a coffin and memes of him have been abducted. Ruto has denied any involvement, and all abductees have since been released. But they have harrowing tales to tell.
I was very confused. I didn't know anything. I was scared. I really feared my life, and I just didn't know what happened completely. I wouldn't wish it even to my enemies, to my loved ones, because abduction is one of the worst things that can make you cry and make you even lose your mind.
The kidnapping sparked massive protests across Kenya. Young demonstrators took to Nairobi streets chanting anti-government slogans. Riot police responded with tear gas and several arrests.
The abductions tell you that there are people who are in power, and they are trying to tell you that if we are not happy with what you are saying, what you are doing, especially when it paints us in a light we don't particularly like, there are things we will do to you. Okay? Again, power. We are seeing it being exercised, but it is revealing. We are seeing. And you see, once you've seen, you can't unsee.
Sadly.
And we have seen. But what makes some of these abductions that we keep talking about even bizarre, from my perspective, these are children.
They are. They are.
They are not some die-hard revolutionists or some die-hard malcontent. So someone who you know, this person creates problems. This is a rabble rouser. They are not.
Are fast fashion giants Shein and Temu being hung out to dry? A UK parliamentary committee turned up the pressure on their representatives this week, questioning their sourcing of cotton and labor practices. Tuesday's hearing particularly focused on Shein, which is seeking a London stock listing after its plans for a New York public offering collapsed last year. Shein's general counsel, Yinan Zhu, was bombarded with questions about whether the company sources cotton from China's Xinjiang region, which is a focus for forced labor allegations linked to the repression of Uyghurs. Beijing denies the claims, but Shein's lack of clear answers left British lawmakers unimpressed.
I'm only able to answer the questions that are relating to our business.
You cannot tell me whether Xi'an fears there is forced labor in Xinjiang.
As mentioned, I don't think it's our place to comment on just having a geopolitical debate.
The hearing highlighted the ongoing scrutiny of Shein, which rose to global fame with its cheap, synthetic fashion. Though Shein was founded in China, the fast fashion giant now calls Singapore its home and sells to over 150 countries, excluding China. For now, there's outstanding questions, but the pressure is on Shein to come clean. Just as the world's most popular fast fashion brand faces questions about its ethics and sustainability, a new trend on TikTok is challenging the culture of mindless consumerism that has long dominated social media. Enter the rise of de-influencers, the anti-influencers who are asking us to rethink what we buy and why.
Welcome to your weekly de-influencing video where I talk some sense into you and de-influence you out of buying things that you don't need.
I like buying new things. I like feeling like my life is aesthetic and on trend, and I like adding novelty to my life. Like, it's fine to buy new things and it's fine to treat yourself every once in a while. But when overconsumption is like your coping mechanism, like it is mine, not only is that so bad for like your mental health and the planet and whatever, it's gonna make you so broke. And I know that from personal experience.
De-influencing started gaining steam in 2023. It's about persuading followers not to purchase products they don't need. These creators point out the absurdity of weekly and monthly clothing hauls, not to mention their effect on the environment and your wallet. TikTok's uncertain feature in the US has added another layer to this shift. With the app being a hub for influencer culture, some argue we're witnessing the start of a cultural reset. While de-influencing hasn't yet shown measurable impacts on big brands, it's clear the conversation is shifting. And that's our show. Find our latest stuff on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.